We were tasked to create a 2D platformer game using the Unity game engine. Our game, which was eventually given the title of Galactic Buzzkill, was about a character trying to escape a spaceship before it self-destructs.
Our group consisted of 4 members, Chase, Noy, Eli, and myself, Jared. To help our group stay more organized, we used a website named Trello. Between our bi-weekly meetings on Mondays and Fridays, we would communicate with each other using Trello to track our progress. Trello is a group organization website that allows you to create cards that represent certain tasks and columns to organize said cards based on completion of those tasks.
Our group was able to meet several times throughout the week, where we worked together face-to-face, not including class time. Everyone had such different schedules though, so certain people could not make certain days or meetings. However, we made up for those losses by scheduling more meetings to go over anything that was missed or still needed to be discussed. Additionally, we created a group chat to discuss anything that could not be said on Trello, things that had to be addressed quickly, as well as to plan future meetings.
My role was that of the primary programmer for our project. I was tasked with the writing of all the base code that others would work with throughout the duration of the project. For instance, the base collectible custom class system that others would code on top of for their respective collectibles. Each group member was assigned 2 game mechanics to code on top of their other work for the project. And the 2 specific game features that I was responsible for were the dash collectible and the operation of in-game buttons and doors. In addition to these tasks, as well as the main game code, I was also responsible for adding in Vuforia image recognition to our game and linking the gravity flipping mechanic to work in conjunction with image recognition.
During the process of creating our project, I was the team lead and the secondary artist for the project. My role as team lead was to make sure that everyone was on task and working together as a group, while also making sure everyone was okay and not too overwhelmed. Being tasked as the secondary artist, I created the tile map, which consisted of the terrain, platforms, and background, as well as a few of the door assets within the game. The 2 specific codes I wrote for features in the game were for the double jump collectible and the player's checkpoints throughout the game.
I was the primary and head artist for this project. My main job was to create the concept art and animations for the player character while playing the game. I also made all of the assets excluding the tile map and doors in the game. The assets I did the art for included collectibles, crates, hazards, and in-game buttons. In addition to my art elements, I also wrote the code for the gravity flip and our waypoint follower script. The gravity flip allows the player to change the gravity upside down to traverse the ship, complete puzzles, and avoid obstacles, while the waypoint follower allowed certain objects to move in a linear fashion, such as saws and moving platforms.
I was assigned the role to create the 20-second intro animation that created the storyline for the game along with the UI elements, such as the buttons and the still images that appear on completion or failing the game. I was also assigned the task of creating the code for the super jump, the scoring system, and the button UI. The super jump allowed the character upon collecting a collectible. The scoring system I created was a reverse timer that was 10 minutes upon the timer reaching 0. UI buttons such as the play again and menu would appear on a still image I created.
By far, the most challenging part of this project for me was implementing image recognition into our game. A requirement for our project was that we had to include some kind of augmented reality component within our game. This project was only the 2nd game that each of us had made in Unity, and so none of us were especially experienced. This was also particularly difficult because our game was only a 2D platformer, and it was hard to come up with augmented reality elements that would work in a 2D game. We decided using image recognition and displaying 2 cards to flip gravity up and down would be a good way to incorporate augmented reality. Faced with learning and implementing image recognition into our game, I turned to YouTube and began watching tutorials about how to set up Unity with Vuforia, which is a piece of software used for augmented reality. After watching several tutorials and getting Vuforia partially set up, I got stuck, and I sought out help from a more experienced peer. After getting a bit of advice from this peer, I was able to finish and get Vuforia image recognition working to control gravity flipping by displaying 2 cards.
The difficulties I had while making this game revolved around asset sizing and difficulties with the gravity script. In my first game project, I made the assets far too large, forcing me to have to resize everything in the project. When it came to this game, I made sure to start off with the character's idle art and made it much smaller. From there, we tested it in-game to make sure it was the correct size. I was then able to base the size of our projects on the player. With the gravity script, it was a bit different from what I was used to, as I had to separate the gravity up and down based off of 2 different keys, which was then changed to different image integration. I then checked a few more YouTube videos to make sure I had the code collected correctly, but I still had difficulties with it working. I was then able to get more assistance and guidance from Eli, who helped me with the code and troubleshooting it to make sure that it worked properly.
The main difficulty I ran into when working on our game was specifically when creating the animated intro, such as creating the storyline and working with different art styles made by different group members and combining them with my own. Another difficulty I had was coding the Super Jump collectible. The first time I wrote the Super Jump, it did not function properly with the collectible class that Eli had written. I brought this up during our weekly group meeting where we worked together to revise the Super Jump script to work with the collectible class.
Some of the difficulties I faced while developing this project was to do with the tile map sizing and the double jump collectible script. When I first started making the double jump collectible script, I wasn't really sure what Eli wanted, so I reached out and asked for his base collectible script so that I could build off of it. We decided to work together, and we ran into some issues with getting it to work at first, but about after 3 hours, we were solid. So when it came to the tile map, I looked at ideas across the board to make sure I was making something that everyone liked and wanted. The hardest part of that was just making sure it would mesh well with the art Noi was already creating, as well as just making sure that the size was correct so that Eli could start building the game without any issues.
Working together throughout this project was filled with many fun and exciting moments that occurred during our meetings as we thought up ideas and discussed them.
Change members.
That's neat. Okay, that's cool.
We don't need to put our names down anymore.
Right.
Did you already do the collectible class?
Yes, but it's in code.
Me.
Well,
Code review.
there are things that the collectible class needs to do. I feel like as we add more collectibles, as we actually code the collectibles, like right now we just have the dash, more is going to be needed. And actually what I just thought of right now was that I was going to put that delay where like you collect them, they disappear, and it sets the timer, and then they reappear. I'm thinking I was gonna put that in the parent class. However, the time collectible is the one collectible that won't do that. So maybe we actually need multiple inheriting classes where we have an overall collectible class, and then we have like a reappearing collectible class, and then a not reappearing collectible class. and then these all, so that would make 3 layers instead of 2. You know what I mean?
Well, could you do that, or could you also put it as in just the collectible main class? You can then have a timer for when they can reemerge, and then for the ones that will be non-recollectible, you can just override the timer to just have
Oh,
the
can you
timer.
do that?
Yeah, you can override anything.
Oh, cool.
So you can have it
That would make it easier.
Yeah.
That's good crack.
Thanks. Normal into one script, or if you want to have them in 2 different scripts, because you'd have 2 different cards. So I'm still not sure about that, but I can still add the space as the mechanic for both of them.
I guess it depends on how it works, it recognizing the cards. Basically, the way I'm envisioning it is
Okay.
like this. There is a, let's see, there's a gravity variable. So say like gravity down is a Boolean, and if gravity down is true, that means gravity is down. If gravity down is false, then that means gravity is up. And so you say hit space if gravity down, then gravity up, and do the gravity up code. If otherwise, or else if gravity up or gravity down is false, then do gravity down code and make gravity. Did that make sense? That was bad.
What if we have some kind of, in our super jump, we have it say some kind of Boolean that says like super jump active or something like that. And then in the regular, specifically player movement jump code, we say if not super jump active, do the normal jump code. Else, if super jump is active, then do the same jump code but with a stronger jump force. What if we did that? I feel like that would probably work.
You can change the scale and it won't mess with the rainbow quality.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter about DPI because
I didn't have the same DPI for like a lot of my stuff, and I didn't change the scale.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
all over the place.
Okay, I still don't know what the issue was when it came to my stuff and it looking like trash. So
Not like
It shows a picture of Pixel Duck. I don't want it to be.
I don't want to do cheesy stuff, you say as you show a pixel duck to the man who made a pixel duck
all of
game.
us are artists, okay? I want to push us to be able to
Eli just side eyes you when you say all of us are artists.
We have to believe in all of us.
Okay, give it a second so we can cut and edit. Cut and edit now.
So gravity flip here, so this is up here.
The crate spawns up here. You can't make it. So there's pictures. You can't make it all without the motor. So in order to get the crate, you have to gravity flip up, push the crate off the edge, and spikes. We can either fall out this way or go back down.
But wouldn't, if you tried to get this crate off of this crate, wouldn't it then?
This isn't a crate. This is just like a platform.
I understand now.
The crate's probably here.
And then there's stepping stones. Oh, I like that idea a lot. Yes, that's good. Oh, and then you have to jump off of this, and it's farther. Like this one is farther on this stretch. The one side would be like that. That's tough.
You could do a double jump.
But I like it.
Yeah. There was one idea I had it, and at this point, maybe not, but really, this decision is up to you, Noe, because my job would be fairly easy here. Your job would be doing the art for it. What if crates could be destroyed, not by spikes, not by the laser grid, but by saw blades? If saw blade touches a crate, it gets destroyed, and you only get the crate back if you respawn, if you die and respawn.